Welcome to the Rick Fuller Podcast, presented by Rick Fuller, team leader of the #1 real estate team in the San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento for most recent sales, according to Zillow. Rick is a national real estate coach, community leader, and real estate investment expert. I'm Christina Morales. I'm a writer and marketing specialist, and Rick is my dear friend and my mentor. Today, we're exploring an important topic that so many people are struggling with right now: feeling stuck. We've been sheltering in place for, I think we said 155 days, like around 5 months. The economy has been a roller coaster. The real estate market is feeling the impact, and all of us are feeling the impact of this difficult time. So to help us address this issue, we have our own Rick Fuller team listing specialist, Linda Tamburri. Thanks for joining us today, Linda.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So Rick, we've had Linda on our podcast before, and she is a great resource. Can you share why you chose to have her on our call today?
Well, Linda is a great resource and amazing team member and just a great person in the community. Linda has been in our industry, well, I think almost 20 years. She has served hundreds of families. And so, you know, when you're buying or selling a home, it's not uncommon to get stuck. And so she's been with people that have been stuck, and then her and I have been stuck in life as well. And so Linda is just a great person to have this conversation about what happens when we get stuck, and more importantly, how do we get unstuck? How do we get unstuck and then continue on with our purpose, with our mission, and with the things that we need to accomplish for ourselves, for our family, and for others? And Linda, I am really excited to have you on the call. Thanks for carving out some time with us today.
You're welcome.
Well, as we're discussing what issues we should address, we're like, should it be business, personal, real estate? We decided that we're going to just cover everything because we are all facing some aspect of it. And so whether you're an agent, whether you're just watching this as you're scrolling on Facebook, we're so glad to have you here. And we're going to address something that you're feeling, and we're going to give you the tools to help you get unstuck today. So Linda, you interact with a lot of agents and clients, and this is an emotional and unique season. With this extreme real estate market, I know that the supply is low, demand is high. How is this affecting the transaction process, and how are your agents and clients feeling about all of these changes?
As far as my clients go, I work very closely with them, and we talk about issues or potential issues at the beginning of our process, and it enables everybody to be prepared and to know what things could potentially come up in a transaction. We are seeing short delays in buyers getting their underwriter approval. There's some short delays in getting an appraiser out to the home. The appraisers used to approve, or I guess type up their appraisals maybe 1 to 2 days after they came to the house. Now we're seeing it 5 and 7 days after they visited the home. It's just a new way of what we're seeing. And my clients need to be flexible in their dates. And if we say we're closing on like the 10th, yes, we're focusing on the 10th, but we won't know for sure until about the 5th if that's what we're really going to see. So everybody just needs to be flexible and know that things do change a little bit. If you've watched the show Big Brother on TV, the reality TV show, we're in our own reality right now with COVID-19, and their motto is expect the unexpected, and I've come to see that in daily life now. Just, you know, see what rolls out daily with COVID, and we have to roll with it and adjust to new ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm. I love how you're preparing your clients by saying, okay, get ready. It's going to be interesting and things are going to change, because if you go in and you're like, oh, it's fine, it's great, and then things do happen, you know, it just kind of doesn't feel good. And so by preparing them ahead of time, it's like, okay, like you said, expect the unexpected. So tell your clients, if you're a business owner, tell your clients and your customers, okay, this is what's changed, and then and adjust to it and pivot, because it's out of our hands. And Rick, one of the attributes that I admire most about you is your ability to dream bigger. You are always dreaming about the next step. So when COVID-19 first hit, we talked about we're going to pivot, we're going to survive, pivot, and thrive. And then you did virtual open houses, Zoom team meetings, and even created this podcast. So 5 months in, what is your next plan to keep moving forward, and how are you staying unstuck?
Well, you know, Christina, you've been a big part of that. And although when COVID really hit the market, especially the economy and local businesses, it was difficult to determine how long things would be around, just that they were going to be around. And so we didn't know a timeline. And you remember these terms being deemed essential or non-essential, and certain things we could do and certain things we can't do. And still today, as of this recording, there's a lot of limitations, and a lot of limitations on small businesses, your restaurants, your salons. I tried to get a haircut this past weekend because my hair's just like out of control. I tried to get a haircut and I couldn't find a place that was doing haircuts. I literally went to about 5 different places. It was on a Monday. They said, we've been here all weekend cutting hair in the back lot because we weren't cutting hair inside, and we're no longer doing it. You know, so every business has had to adapt. We didn't know exactly how long it was going to last. We just knew that it was here. And so we created seasons. And so we look at that and said, well, there are 3 seasons to come. First, we've got to survive as a business and be able to be here to help our clients. And if you're a small business owner, if you're somebody that's a real estate professional, then you want to make sure that you're in essence, your 4 walls are covered, that you can survive in this market. And surviving in the market, of course, we want to keep you healthy and safe, but I'm talking about surviving from a business perspective or even from a financial perspective, making sure that you're in a healthy place. You cannot help others if you cannot help yourself. In other words, if your cup is dry, you have none to give to anyone else. So make sure you've got some reserves in your cup in order to do that. Then we looked at pivot. There's going to be new opportunities. Most people don't know, but Ford shifted and they started creating ventilators. GM shifted, started creating masks. 3M was one of the largest suppliers of masks. That was not prior to COVID. They pivoted, and as they pivoted, think about how Uber Eats and those types of businesses that have adapted in today's market. Think of the technology we're using right now, Zoom. They pivoted. They were there. They were well positioned, and they used the pivot to really help their clients and gain massive market share. And I think those that pivot well are well positioned to thrive. We know that things are changing, but there are some things I'm going to tell you, I don't think we'll go back to normal. There are certain things that we're doing. Certainly virtual communication, I think, will be a staple in the business and in our life to come, whether we like it or not. And there'll still be personal interaction, but I think that virtual communication will be a key. And I think some of the things that we were doing as a real estate business, like open houses, we may see those things replaced with virtual open houses. We may see them supplemented with Matterport tours or aerial drone photography. And so if we pivot well, we'll be in a position to thrive. So what's next? Well, I think there's a lot of opportunities that this market has to offer. And I'll just kind of give you this story. Yesterday, I was driving home with my 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters and my wife, Jennifer. We were driving home and my kids were doing what most people are doing today. They said, Dad, look at all the things that with COVID I'm missing out on. Like 2020, we wish it didn't happen because we're missing out on school, we're missing out on field trips, we're missing out on where's the movie theater. We haven't seen one of those in a long time, right? We don't go out to eat anymore. We're missing out on all these things. And they started just describing, and really they were focused on all the things that 2020 they were missing out on. We realized there were some things that because of those things that we were able to do. And rather than focusing on the things that we missed out on, we focus on the new things we were able to do. We have a daughter that's getting ready to go to college. We've had more time to spend with her than we ever anticipated. That is a result of this unique market. We've got kids that are schooling from home, and so we get a chance to have lunch together. That's something that uniquely presents itself in this market. I'm connecting with people around the world that are watching us virtually. That's something that uniquely exists in this market. And all that to say, most people are focused on all the things they're missing out on. I wish this year would have skipped over. I mean, how many memes have we seen about that? And few people are looking at the unique opportunities, the unique things that have presented themselves. And the problem is you can't compare them. You can't say, well, you know, for my daughters, you can't say, well, yeah, Dad, we got to eat dinner together or lunch together, but I didn't go to a prom, or I didn't go to my high school dance, or whatever. You can't compare them because this is not possible today. But what you do is I think you focus on the things that can be done and the positive attributes. And when you do that, I think it helps you, which is the title of this podcast, helps you get unstuck. Like you start to think differently. I think that the greatest response for a human being is a heart of gratitude. And I think the worst response is like bitterness, right? Like when bitterness sets in and you're just going down a downward spiral. When you have a heart of gratitude, like, all these things I was able to do, like more things are attracted to you in that environment. You just see more things, more opportunities are present. And so I think that's a big part of what we're doing. We're looking at the amazing opportunity to help people right now. Like, how can we best serve people? Stay focused on that. And as we do with a heart of gratefulness and gratitude, we find more opportunities are coming our way, and it's an opportunity to help people.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love about you, Rick, is that we talked about reserves financially and you're prepared for the storms. Well, on a different emotional level, we prepared ourselves to be healthy so that way when the storms come, then you can endure it. Because if you're not in shape emotionally, spiritually, physically, then it makes it all that much harder. So your family was already in a good place. So when these storms happen, your kids are like, hey, but Dad, we're doing great things too. We get to go to the beach. We get to spend some time with friends. And so I love that. That's great. Linda, let's focus on the word stuck. What does this word mean to you? And what do you do when you feel stuck?
I would say that stuck is a negative word for me. I don't like feeling like I'm backed into a corner. But I was able to pivot, as we're using that word, during COVID and change some things in my life that have enabled me to feel not so stuck. A lot of people have used curbside pickup and ordering for their families. Instead of going out to dinner and going out to do things that we've done in the past, we can do that from home. There's DoorDash, Uber Eats, those type of companies that I'm sure are seeing a huge increase in their business. I've used those different services to help myself feel unstuck. I can tell you that a few months ago when we were all out looking for toilet paper, and Clorox wipes, that was a little stressful and you kind of felt like you couldn't get what you needed for your family. But now we're seeing those things are available and we're seeing life come back to a little bit of a normal feel for us where we don't feel like we're not going to have something, and it's reduced some of the fear and made life more positive with something that's unknown to us.
Mm-hmm. And Linda, you're my friend. We were talking earlier, and you have a big heart. And I think one way to stop feeling bad about yourself is by serving others. And can you just share a little story that you told me earlier today about Walmart?
Yeah, I have friends that have been unable to get some things, and I've been able to help and order things for them that they can either pick up or I go get for them. Yesterday I did go on a shopping trip inside Walmart. I have not been in a store like that in over 5 months. and I felt kind of like a kid in a candy store looking at everything on the shelves because I haven't seen things on shelves. But for me personally, I've been able to feel better and more positive from helping other people that can't get out and can't get the things that they need. So it that helps to bring some positivity to my life.
I love that. That's so awesome. Thank you, Linda. And Rick, you lead a team of about 40 real estate agents, and they're all in different positions and points in their career. Some are just starting out, some have been in the business for decades. What tools do you provide your team to help them stay motivated?
Well, I think the first thing, you go back to what Linda said, it's so easy to get stuck today. Whether you're at home or you're homeschooling, you're working from home, like a day can turn into a week very easily. A week can turn into a month, and a month can turn into 158 days of shelter in place, right? Like that is very real. And in some sense, we are circling a mousetrap. And that mousetrap, the cheese that's being attracted is you're constantly circling around it, and pretty soon the snap happens and you're stuck, right? And you don't want to be stuck in the mousetrap. And so the first thing I would tell you is that the most important thing is that you got to have a purpose behind whatever it is that you're doing. And if that purpose, or some people call it a why, or a reason behind why you get up in the morning, what it is that your purpose in life, in your occupation, your purpose to serve people, if you have a deep enough purpose and you have great clarity on that purpose, there's a motivation that comes with that. And so for our team members, you mentioned our team, Christina, our team members, they have one singular purpose, and we're very clear about that. It's to provide our clients the kind of buying and selling experience they would be excited to tell a friend about. We realize most people don't move every day. Most people go to buy a cup of Starbucks far more frequently than they move from one home to the next. And some people move 2-3 times in their lifetime, and that's it. And so if you only move a handful of times, you deserve to have a great buying and selling experience. And that's what our team is really all about, is how do we help our clients have the very best buying and selling experience, because they don't move that often and nobody forgets their last move. You think about it. I remember my family moving and they were painting their bedrooms. My daughters were painting their bedroom. I remember eating pizza on moving boxes. I can remember when our U-Haul broke down on the side of Highway 580. Like, I'll never forget that. In today's world, especially in the Bay Area and Sacramento County, where we have our 5 offices, in the Bay Area, what you find is that it's multi-generational housing, and it's moving in that direction with affordability issues. And so it doesn't just affect the buyer or the seller, it affects the buyer and their children and the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents and the whole family that lives there, their friends and everybody. And so by having a clear, concise, compelling purpose, it creates a motivation in you. And when you have that kind of clarity, it helps you get away from that mousetrap so that you don't get stuck. Keep getting up, do it over and over and over again. And I think the second thing that we've been thinking about is how do you set short-term goals? Today's world, it's very difficult to say, Christina, let me tell you what my 5-year plan is going to be, because who knows where we'll be in 5 years. And I liken it to cycling. I like to go mountain bike riding, and sometimes I'll pick a pretty steep hill. And instead of looking to the top of the hill, saying, okay, I'm going to climb on my bike to the top of the hill, which is exhausting and overwhelming, and I don't even know if I can do it, I'm just going to look to a certain point. It might just be 20 yards, 30 yards ahead. If I just get to this point, and then I'll pick another point. And then I'll pick another point, and then I'll pick another point. And you just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And before you know it, you are exhausted, you are tired, and you are sweaty, but you're at the top of the hill. And I think a lot of times what happens, we look at the top of the hill and say, oh my, it is so high, it is so far, it could never be done. And a journey of 1,000 steps begins with step 1. And to make it to the top of the hill on a mountain bike, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get to the first knoll. Just get to the first knoll, whatever that means for you in life. And for some people, it might just mean I need to get groceries. And for some people, it might be I just need to get up in the morning and I need to exercise or do my devotions or spend some time with my spouse or whatever it is that's your core purpose. Like, operate within that and then just set short-term goals. Reach those goals, and before you know it, you look back, you say, wow, I've come a long ways. And I think that those are the things that we're looking to. To be honest with you, Christina, there's no secret sauce, there's no keys, there's no, this is an incredible insight or wisdom. It's doing what you know to do and doing it over and over and over again. I think about my daughters when they were young, and my wife would make vegetables, and my kids would say, I don't want to eat my vegetables. And I'd always ask them, what does wanting to eat your vegetables have anything to do with eating your vegetables? You just eat your vegetables because you eat your vegetables. That's just what we do. Doesn't matter whether you want to or not. And there's certain things when you discover your purpose, you say, okay, to get to where I need to be, to my clear goal, we call it a WIG, a wildly important goal, which has to do with how many families we want to serve. And when you have that clear, compelling goal, it doesn't matter if you like the work at the moment. It doesn't matter because you're willing to eat those vegetables because you like the end results. And I often don't like going for a run in the morning or swimming or biking. You know, it just becomes exhausting. You're tired, you're frustrated. You don't have the time in your schedule. There's so many other things, but I like the end results. I like being healthy. I like being in shape. I like to be able to do these things. And that doesn't happen without the early morning exercise or the early morning run or the early morning swim or bike. So those are just a couple of things that we're thinking about, keeping the basics and keeping first things first.
Mhm. Another thing that I love about you and the team is that you keep everybody connected, like our Tuesday team meeting. So if you're a business owner out there, reach out to your team because they need to hear from you. And Rick, you do that amazingly. So does your co-leaders, Brian and Joe. I mean, whenever I get off the phone with them, I feel inspired, encouraged, and even compelled to do better. And so I just love that. So keep accountability, because whenever I talk to you, Rick, you always talk about exercise and eating right, and I'm like hiding. That's why you only see me from back because we're not going to go there. But
you know, Christina, I think one of the biggest mistakes that our generation is making, especially over the last 3 months, if we've called it social distancing. You know, we think about it, and words matter. You know, if you don't believe that, ask a young lady what their dad said when they were young, or a young man what their dad said when they, like, or what their mom said, or what their aunt or uncle or their former employer, like the words they said ring in their head over and over and over. And words matter. And how did we describe it from the very beginning? We said we need to be socially distant. And it's this idea that we need not to socialize. Well, the truth is that people are created and operate best within communities. Is there any wonder why most of the planet is moving to subdivisions? They're moving out of the urban, they're moving certainly out of the rural, and they're moving to they want to be in community. And this idea of social distancing, really, it is unhealthy for us to be in a socially distant world. So we want to stay connected. Now, it should be physical distancing. We know we don't want to make anyone sick. We don't want to create any vulnerability. We all agree with that. Nobody's arguing that, the mask, the whole bit. But we don't social distance, we physical distance. And those two are fundamentally different, because you got people today, they're like, I'm social distancing. I'm just going to lock my doors. I'm not going to let anybody in. I'm not going out. That is an unhealthy place. The title of this is How to Get Out of Being Stuck. And you will get stuck. You will get caught in that mousetrap. Man, human beings, people, they just don't work well to be an idle. You know, idleness without a purpose, without a goal, without a mission, without work to do, productive work, doesn't have to be dollar producing activities. It could just be productive. I know a lot of people, and they spend their day and they work hard accomplishing things that aren't for monetary value, but they do them for good in the community. They do them because it's a nonprofit. They do it because, you know, it helps others. Linda does a whole host of those types of things, but they have a purpose. They've got something that compels them to get up in the morning, and they set those short milestones. They reach those goals.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're all in our early 30s, so we've all been through storms before. And so, Linda, you've been in the real estate industry for how many years now?
As an agent, 15, but about 20 in other aspects.
Okay, so you remember the 2008 market crash. I mean, we all remember that. I would love to know what that time looked like for you and how you made it through and what you learned from it that we can all take away from.
During that time, I had to reinvent myself, kind of similar to what we're doing now.
Right.
I took on asset management companies and started selling foreclosures. And it was one day at a time. And before I knew it, I had sold over 100 homes in 1 year. And that was unheard of for me at that time. But I was working long 18-hour days trying to keep up. And with COVID, I'm not feeling that way. We have so much that we can use in our day-to-day life that's online, and technology and all these things help us, where we can still do our jobs, we can still do things with personal life, but we're doing it in a way where we are home, where we're not out working outside 18 hours a day. I'm finding I can get my job done in less hours. I can get things done quicker. I have easier access to people and getting things done. And all around, it's just easier. But as far as our real estate market, back then everybody was doom and gloom and the sky was falling, the market was crashing. I'm not seeing that now. Our inventory is so low. The interest rates are at record lows. And purchasing a house now is kind of like finding the elusive roll of toilet paper. I've seen memes on Facebook with that. But there are people out there that do need to sell in this time, and they have reasons that they do need to move. And the world doesn't stop completely just because of the pandemic. Some people have to sell, and we need to have processes that allow that safely for everybody, whether they're looking at homes, whether they're signing paperwork. We have processes in place that make it safe throughout the whole transaction. And that's very important that we're protecting everybody. Also, some changes is, a lot of people will say the millennials don't like to pick up a newspaper or answer the phone and those kinds of things. With Zoom and signing digitally and everything, we have things out there that are enabling us to do business in ways that the younger generations prefer. So I'm finding this much easier to deal with business and life than it was back in 2008 to 12.
Mm-hmm. That's good. We have to learn to adjust, like Rick was saying earlier, adjust and move forward and learn in order to stay relevant. And that's so important. Rick, what 3 things should business owners and agents do every day to stay the course and find success?
Well, let me give you a couple of things that every agent should do. And we've discovered that business people, especially real estate agents, they go through what I call 5 categories. And Christina, you and I did an entire podcast on that. We call them the C5s. And the first thing they learn is they learn to be confident. And confident in the industry, confident in real estate. We're talking about to agents that are in the industry. They learn a degree of confidence, a confidence with the systems, the MLS, even how to get into a home. Sometimes the most complicated part of our job, and Linda's been doing this for nearly 20 years, and I'm sure she's going to agree, is just getting into the house. Like, which key is it? How do you turn it? You got to jiggle it just right before the door will open. All of these things, then you open up, and there's a German Shepherd behind, right? Just getting into the home can often be the most challenging, and you start developing a degree of confidence. Then the second C then occurs, and these happen sequentially. Now, I don't know the time. Some people move through them lightning fast, and they stay in each season for days or even weeks. Other people stay in them their entire career and they get stuck. And C2, we have found, is that it is consistency. They do the right things over and over and over and over again. They eat their vegetables. Doesn't matter whether they like them, they just keep doing them. And in our business, it is really about serving people. That's really what it's about. So you got to find people to serve. That's the core fundamental behind what we do. And instead of pressuring people to buy or sell in your timeline, you guide them along the process every step of the way. And you stop trying to hit home runs and you just go for base hits. It's very, very simple. Not everybody is ready to buy or sell a house today, and that's okay. Walk them through the process. And when they're ready and you've provided that kind of service, then you will be there to help them and serve them along the way. And the third thing we always recommend in this consistency phase is it's imperative that they provide our clients the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about. Because we live in a review world. You wouldn't stay in a hotel. You won't rent a car. You don't even eat in a restaurant without reading the reviews. And the same thing the consumer is doing with reviewing the reviews of the agents online. So, you know, in C2, those are 3 critical things that we recommend that agents do. Then they move from consistency. Okay, Rick, I'm doing this over and over and over and over again. The same things. I'm eating my vegetables. I'm doing what's right. I'm doing the things that are healthy. I'm serving other people. It's not about me. It's about them. And then they move into credibility. Because what happens is when they stay consistent, especially with online, and people see that their heart is right, that they want to serve, that they're there to help, that they're there to support, that they're adding tremendous amount of value in this time of transition, they start having credibility. And what happens is we're having a conversation. You know, if you're interested in that, you ought to talk to this person. I'll never forget a friend of mine, his name, a past client, and his name was Bill. And Bill came to my office one day, and it was about 6 o'clock in the evening, and he had his fiance in the car. And he came into the office, kind of popped in and said, Rick, I need your help. I thought it might be a real estate matter. And he says, it's our anniversary, and I need to find a restaurant here in the area. And I'm thinking, I look at my sign, I'm a real estate office. And then it dawned on me, if I have the credibility to provide Bill the best restaurant in town for his anniversary, how much more so do I have that kind of credibility and voice in his life when it comes to real estate matters? Right? He trusts me with the little things. He'll trust me with big things as well. And that really was an eye-opener, because credibility is key. One of my favorite verses says that better to have a great name than great riches. I believe that. Credibility and a great name in the market, also defined as a reputation, is really critical. And once people have credibility, then what they get really busy, and they need collaboration. We call this C4, meaning that you can't do things alone. You can go fast by yourself, you go far together. A team together, everyone achieves more. There's a synergy. Working together as a team, Christina, is not an addition problem. It becomes a multiplication. It's you plus me plus Linda plus 40 other people. It's not that we're adding our efforts together. It certainly isn't that I'm subtracting anything, but by Linda working together with all of us as a team, it's a multiplication of effort. The business community would call this a synergy. Like the sum total is a whole lot more than just the parts. When we add it all together, it's so much more than just the parts. One person can only go so far. And it's then and only then do you then begin to bring in a commission. And we go through these, and so we really have team members, and they're at C1. They're learning confidence, and that's okay. They're brand new to the business. They're in our real estate school. They're learning the courses, and they shouldn't have confidence because they've not been through it. And then we have others that are at C5, and every step along the way. And each step has little things that you can do to move you from a C1 to a C2, or C2 to C3, and C4 to C5. And if you know those things and you put them in place in your business, you can just continually, progressively, sequentially build your business, and in the process help a lot of people accomplish what they're set out to accomplish.
That's so helpful. Thank you, Rick. Linda, what final words of encouragement do you have for our audience?
I would just say if you feel stuck in life, reach out to your friends and family, get encouragement from those around you, um, help serving others, and that'll give you positive things to look at. Um, I know people that do Zoom calls with their family members. They play darts, they do all kinds of things. They have their little family fun nights over video versus in person. And there's things that you can do to have fun without just hiding in your home.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Rick, how about you and your family? How are you helping your kids not to feel stuck at home when they're homeschooling? Or, I mean, going away to college is a huge deal, and it's so disappointing when that dream is delayed. So how are you keeping your family unstuck?
Well, Christina, I think, what Linda said was absolutely right. That in life, you've got two hands, and one, you should be reaching up yourself, no matter where you're at in life, to others that they're doing what you want to do, or they have what you want to have. And that doesn't always mean financial. It could be character qualities, it could be competencies, it could be skills. And we've talked a little bit about that today and how a team can help you do that. But then there's a hand downward too. Now you're lifting them up, right? You're helping, and there's a hand downward. I can remember when we started working with foster kids, and Linda, you and I have worked with homeless and foster kids. Well, for me, I'm going now 20 years. And my very first experience with the foster kids, like I went there because I frankly enjoy working with kids, and I enjoy camping and the great outdoors. I have so many memories as a kid of enjoying the great outdoors, fishing and hiking and camping. And I went because I enjoyed that, and it was a great time away. And I got to hang out with some amazing homeless and foster kids in the process, and give them some great memories. But during that time, what I learned is really how great I had it growing up with the amazing family and parents that I have. They weren't perfect, but I have an amazing family, and how awesome my kids were, and my kids are. And that perspective that, these kids that were homeless, or these kids that were in foster care, they didn't have all the things that I did. And it emerged that heart of gratitude instead of that heart of bitterness. Man, I'm missing out on all these things in 2020. It began to create a heart of gratitude, like, wow, fundamentally the things that really matter in life have been extracted from these young people. And when I began to see that, it really changed my point of reference. So I think you need to have a hand upwards, looking for help, looking for support, looking for mentorship, leadership, somebody in your life that you can connect with, that's helping you become a better version of you. And you've got to do the same. A pond that has an inlet but no outlet stinks. A life that only collects and only receives and only take, that life stinks. We read it on the news. You see it amongst those that in some sense are in Hollywood, or your professional athletes, that they just can't handle the take, the inlet that they receive, and they don't have a outlet. If you have an inlet and an outlet, you have more of an open hand. And when you have an open hand, you're right, some come to you and some leaves you. And that's just the nature of an open hand. And I think when you move with that kind of heartbeat in what you're doing, it's attractive to people. And it's very different than what they see out in the community today. Today, they see people that it's the whiff 'em. What's in it for me? Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. And the moment they discover some people that are working together that say, it's not the whiff 'em, it's the what's in it for you. Like, how can I help you? Zig Ziglar said it this way: if I help enough people get what they want in life, I'll always have what I want in life. And that's been very, very true in our life, is that I just want to help people accomplish their goals, whether it's investing in real estate, whether it's their career in real estate, whether it's moving from one home to the next. We just want to help people accomplish their goals, and we want to do it well. And when we do that, we get a lot of satisfaction out of that. There's a degree of satisfaction when you're able to pass on the keys to somebody that's never had a set of keys of their own. The keys that they hold, the keys that are in their pocket aren't theirs, they're their landlords. They're just borrowing them for a period of time. And when you say, no, no, these are your keys to that house, there's something that happens. I'll never forget one of my very first clients. His name was Jamal. He taught me a tremendous amount. And Jamal attended one of our first time buyer classes. And Jamal had said as we were preparing to provide him the keys to his very first home, he said, Rick, this is my first home. I said, of course, I know it is. You came to my first time buyer class. He says, no, no, you don't understand. My family has never owned real estate before. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. This is the very first home we've ever owned. And I thought about that. We have completely changed the family tree. There's a whole new branch as a result of him owning real estate. Because we found that not owning real estate can be hazardous to your wealth, because it's very difficult to accumulate any type of wealth without real estate as a part of that portfolio. Doesn't have to be the only part, but it needs to be a part of that portfolio. That day, a new branch was formed in his life that will have limbs that are totally different as a result of him being a homeowner. And those keys are no longer in his pocket, or no longer jingling, belong to the landlord, but they belong to him and his family, and maybe one day his heirs and his kids and grandkids, and on and on and on. And it's very possible, and a journey of 1,000 steps begins with step one.
And this is a difficult season, but the great thing is it's kind of making us refocus on what's important, giving back, being surrounded by friends, being encouraged by other friends. And so even though these are tools that we're giving you for this season, it's basically our lifelong tools for success and for happiness and for helping others. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Rick and Linda, for guiding us on this critical discussion. Our next week's topic is perfect for real estate investors. In our audience, it's titled Renting or Flipping, which provides the best return. And our special guest will be Joe Seeley, who's one of my favorite people. You'll laugh and be inspired for sure. So thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. And remember what Rick always says, not owning real estate is hazardous to your wealth. Thank you, Rick and Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.